What's poppin', man? Let's talk about some shit that's going on, right? Rajah Jackson. I felt the need to talk about this because there's so much of me that relates to this in a lot of different ways, okay? So we're going to get in this. I'm going to adjust my tripod here. So at one point in my life, I was Rajah Jackson. Not literally, obviously, but I was that kid who would take shit way too far, who would, like, I could have seen myself, I've done shit similar to that, just not at no event. I would just show, bro, this one time I went to a house party and beat up a bunch of kids. I beat up the whole house party, bro. Literally took like 5 people to fucking just choke me out and take me out the house party after I beat up like 6, 7 different people. Just for no reason. For no fucking reason. So I empathize with this shit. I empathize with, like, I feel bad for both parties. You know what I'm saying? Like, what happened shouldn't have happened. And there was, the way he went was like that, there's no excuse for it. So I'm not going to do that. It hurt my heart a little bit because, like I said, at one time, that shit could have been me. That shit was me on multiple occasions out of wrestling ring. You know what I'm saying? I was lucky when I was doing that type of work, when I was doing MMA, wrestling, shit like that. I never fucking got in, like, I never had no shit happen like that because I understood wrestling was, you wasn't trying to hurt nobody. But I never let nobody, I guess, like, I never let the temper of myself affect me in those types of settings. Especially when it came to pro wrestling, because I understood that was a show. It's not, you know what I'm saying? I always prided myself on being known as someone who was easy to work with. So, as I said, I felt for that shit because literally not that long ago, like I said, like 10 years ago, from 10 to 5 years ago, I was that. 10 to 6 years ago, excuse me. I was that. When I was on lithium, I was that. I was a little bit less autistic looking, but I was that. I was like, you can't take him anywhere. YN. But that's what I was. So, like, it's hard for me to, like, not, like, I feel worse for Psycho Stu. And I'm not excusing what Rajah did. But because I was that kid at one point, in my heart, it's like, damn, yeah, you gonna have to go to jail, bro. They got you on camera, you gonna have to go to jail. I'm sorry. It's just, you know what I'm saying? And I feel for it because I got kids. And I feel for it because at one point, that was me. That could have been me in that same situation when I was his age. Rajah seemed like he's a little autistic or something. He seemed like he got a little off, you know what I'm saying? Like, I noticed that off rip. He seemed like he got socially something's a little off with him. Might have some trouble with emotional regulation like I used to have. Like, when I would get pissed off, bro, I'd just black out. Like, it literally was not in my control. It's not like that no more. But especially when I was on lithium, it was like, literally, like, I would have a seizure where I'd start hitting people. Like, literally, it was like, I could not control it, no matter what the fuck I did. It was like, it literally, like, violence became like an involuntary action to me once I got set off to a certain point. And I could do nothing to talk myself down. So, that's the part for me where it's hard for me to, like, not feel bad for Rajah in some type of way. I'm not excusing what he did at all. What he did was wrong, and yeah, he's going to have to go to jail for that. California is similar to Connecticut. They have the same law where, like, usually this is how it goes, right? And this is how I almost know the laws of California without knowing the laws of California. I know if we have it as a law, California definitely has it as a law. Like, if we ban machine guns, automatically California doesn't allow that. because we're more red than California is. So, like, that's why you could have a machine gun here. Like, as long as it's not select fire, it's not classified as an assault weapon. So, I know that if Connecticut can say no, the state is going to press charges. No matter what he says, we're pressing charges. California can definitely do that. Again, I feel bad for Psycho Stu. I wish him a speedy recovery. I feel bad for Raja because I don't feel bad for him, but I empathize with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I was that kid once. He literally might not have been able to control himself. And you might think because he didn't do something immediately that that's not the case. But watching him was like watching a younger version of myself. And like it was like watching me, bro. Because there would be a time, usually 10 to 15 minutes, where if I didn't get away from the situation, which I would never do, I would purposely stay there. Not purposely, but I would be unable to move a lot of times. I'd get locked in place, and I wouldn't leave till after I blew up and got violent. And that period of time, I wouldn't be able to say shit. I don't know if I was on stream and had to engage an audience, if that would have been different, but I would literally go mute. That still happens to this day when I get set off like that. The only difference is I can walk away, and one thing I learned to do is text someone nearby because I can still text. Words will not come out my mouth when I get like that. So, that's one thing that affected me was like, it was like watching myself. So I don't know if I was on live stream, if I'll be able to still talk to the live stream, but I know I cannot talk when I'm like that. I can't. Words won't fucking come out. So, and I can only get up and move at certain intervals. It used to be I couldn't get up and move at all. If I tried to, I would immediately seize up and get violent. Like I would immediately, the moment I try to get up to leave, I'll get up and go run over that person and just fucking start hitting them. So that's where it affected me, was because it's like literally watching a younger version of myself. So that's why I said it might look like premeditation. I don't know if he on meds or whatever, but I know if he had the same type of shit going on that I did in terms of like the way his temper is, like he would just be sitting there sort of on autopilot till he blew up like that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how it used to be with me. And sometimes you might see me sit like that for 10, 15 minutes saying nothing. And as soon as it gets to be 16 minutes, I haul off and hit somebody, or I pull something out and try to do something. Like, this is real life shit that's happened to me. So that's the part where I feel for Raja. You know, I was that kid once. And that don't excuse at all what he was doing, but I understand his psychological state a little more than some other people might, you know? I feel like I understand it. So it was fucked up because I'm watching this, I'm like, bro, it really reminded me of like a younger you. Just like a younger you who's like really socially awkward. I was lucky. I was never really socially awkward like that. But the way my temper used to be on lithium, that's how it looked. Minus the like little talking to the chat. I wouldn't talk at all. So I think he's definitely going to go to prison for it. And he kind of should. Hopefully, if he does, like, he can get his meds right in there. If he's on meds, hopefully he can, you know, get the help that he needs. And so if this doesn't happen again, and it's like a little bump in the road, he hits a speed bump, and then he don't go back. Hopefully, like me. Maybe if he is on meds or some shit, go in jail, they'll figure out he don't need to be on meds like it will with me. And all that shit will get better. I don't know. I don't know his situation. My boy Sean, who used to come up for the summers when I was little, he lived like right next door next to Rampage Jackson. Like I knew Rampage Jackson had an albino son probably before any of y'all did. Like before it was talked about or anything, before he even made that public. I knew that back in like 2004 that he had a fucking, like when he was still in Pride, I knew he had an albino son. So, you know, again, like I want give my condolences to everybody involved, because I know as a father, this got to be real stressful for Rampage. His son, obviously, like I said, it looked like a younger version of myself with his temper. Not a one-for-one comparison, but the way that he just was nonchalant, basically on autopilot for about 10, 15 minutes, and then exploded like that the moment he could, very similar. Like, literally identical, minus the talking to chat, saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, whatever, because I wouldn't be saying shit. And that, like I said, that part is still true to this day. The only difference is now there is points where I can get up and walk away. It's just at certain points. Other than that, I get frozen in place. You know what I'm saying? So, and I know that if I get up at other points, there's a high chance I'm not going to be able to walk out the room. You know what I'm saying? So, and that only happened once I got off lithium. Before I got off lithium, there was a point I could walk away, but it had to be before the point where I went silent. You see what I'm saying? Once I went silent, once I went on autopilot like that, like he did, I couldn't walk away. It was not going to be possible. The moment I tried to, I was going to walk over to you and do something to you. So that's what made it hard for me, is because I feel bad for everybody involved. And obviously, my condolences for Psycho Stu and his family, because he's the one who got the worst of it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want to disregard completely the way Rampage and Raja and that whole family is going to be affected by this. The way Rikishi's going to be affected by this. The way, you know what I'm saying? On top of that, it's been found out that certain higher-ups within that promotion, I don't know if it was Rikishi directly or just people directly below him, we're talking about, if the police, try to, ask you anything, don't say nothing, whatever. Some people were trying to say that's interfering with an investigation. It's not, okay, first of all. Second of all, because it's Fifth Amendment. Second of all, excuse me, it is wrong. It is wrong. No one should be pressuring other people. Well, it could be witness tamper. It could be witness tamper. I'm not going to hold you. If he winds up getting actually, charged and whatever and convicted, it definitely could be witness tamper. I don't think they would take it there, but I feel like it could be. I don't know that for sure. But I do want to say that that's wrong to be doing. Okay, because if people don't want to talk to the police of their own accord in that type of setting, in that type of situation, that's fine. If you don't want to if you want to not tell your staff to talk to police, that's fine. In that type of setting. If it's in that type of setting, what you should do is just not say nothing about it. What they want to do, they can do. You know what I'm saying? If they don't want to say something, they don't have to. If they do, they can. You know what I'm saying? Like, make it of their own volition. But I do think to be putting that out and saying, hey, try to cover this up, essentially, that's wrong. That's not something that y'all should be doing. I definitely think once that came out, it made it worse. See, there wasn't so much culpability you could put on the promotion till that happened. You know what I'm saying? And although it's probably not going to result in like witness tampering charges, it probably could. It's still, it makes you look bad now. You didn't look bad. You looked at most irresponsible or loose or whatever. It looked like you were getting loose. It looked like a reckless move. Something. It looked like an accident. A big misunderstanding. Something like that. Until you start doing shit like that. That's when it starts to look like you're scummy too. If the guy didn't almost die, maybe a little less. And so I felt like I had to say something about this. I don't know if I'm going to chop this up or not. I think this came out good, freestyling it off the top anyway, so I don't think I'm going to. But there's a couple other points I want to make, actually. I've noticed a lot of people are getting mad at certain wrestling. Hold on a sec. People are getting mad at certain wrestling and MMA commentators, especially former wrestlers, former MMA guys, notably Chael Sonnen and Rob Van Dam. People are getting mad at them for something that, because they had bad takes on it. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm not gonna lie to you. You know what I'm saying? They had some bad takes. They took L's, y'all. They took L's. But the type of backlash for these bad takes, especially in Rob Van Dam's case, it didn't look like Chael Sonnen really took that much of a hit, because Chael Sonnen has 1.4 million subscribers. If he loses 20,000 subs, it's not going to say 1.3 million. You see what I'm saying? Rob Van Dam is really just trying to get his shit off the ground now. And you can hear me getting a little bit choked up because Rob Van Dam one of my heroes. You know what I'm saying? Someone, personally, I don't know if I'd ever want to meet, because I wouldn't want him to disappoint me, because he influenced a huge part of my life, especially when I was younger. So I don't like seeing the way that he's been affected by having a bad take. You know what I'm saying? That's somebody who's really basically killed himself for that business. And he's just trying to, move on to do something else that he knows he can do. As someone living with CTE himself, probably, that affects me. I don't like seeing the way that, he has one bad take and people are treating him like this. Now, if that's what you want to do, I'm not going to tell you not to. But it always fucks me up. And if Rob sees this, I don't want him to take this as anything disrespectful. It's hurt me watching the way Rob's mental state has sort of deteriorated. If I start crying, I'm going to have to shut this up. But I'm not going to start crying. And so seeing his mental state go the way it has, knowing I might have the same issues, maybe on a lesser scale, I don't like seeing the way that people are reacting to him for this. He don't think straight, y'all. Like, you gotta understand that. And it's not, it'd be maybe a little different if the reason he didn't think straight is because he was literally killing himself to get y'all to know who he was. And then because he says one thing that's a L take, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit upset. So my thoughts is, just because he has an L tape one time, y'all want to be like, I'm going to unsub, whatever. Man, Rob don't know what he's doing, man. Rob is really just getting into something to sustain himself and the lifestyle he has, because he can't wrestle no more, really. I mean, I don't know if he still does. I don't know if he still does occasionally. But I think he thinks even that he might be living on borrowed time. Because the way the CTE seemed to be affecting him, it got me concerned. I never saw New Jack in a way like that where it got me concerned. Mentally. There was, like I said, before New Jack died, seeing him on his bed like that, I kind of felt like maybe that shit with Abdullah the Butcher getting him AIDS was true. I kind of felt like maybe there was some truth to Abdullah the Butcher using dirty blades and he got HIV AIDS from it and was progressing to AIDS. But his mental state was still there. New Jack was still sharp, on point. Sandman, another one. Mental state still there. I think the only one other than, same with Sabu. I mean, it was sort of, you could sort of see it, but it was enough to where they didn't, it was like watching, I don't want to say it was like watching the way that I be sometimes. It was a little worse than that, But it was sort of like they had a rambling story, talking method to them. The way they talked was, it was like they had a point, like some crackhead shit. They had a point, they kind of lost it, but they got around to it. Or they made the point, rambled on about it, and hit about 3 or 5 other segments of shit, and then came back to it real briefly, and then moved on to the next topic. It was followable. Same with Terry Funk. With Rob Van Dam, I don't know if it's because he's doing it live, whatever, you can't really chop shit up. I be having to chop shit up just the way how I be fucking, how my shit be fucked up sometimes. That's how it be sometimes. But with Rob, it's like, the way that his mind seems to like misplace and like, his mind does some weird things with language, if you notice. I don't know if any of y'all watch Rob, but if you do, you probably know what I'm talking about. And as you can tell, this part of the video kind of fucked me up. I'm not going to chop this up at all. So to see Rob really trying to pivot to something that maybe might even be kind of difficult for him to do. I know Rob, he said, listen, I know this CTE shit fucked me up. You know, there's a whole documentary that came out about him, right? And his CTE. You know why that documentary came out? It was supposed to be a documentary about Rob and him starting doing stand-up comedy, right? So it was going to be a documentary about him transitioning from wrestling to stand-up comedy. When they started doing that documentary, they realized, everybody realized, he couldn't remember his own material. He couldn't memorize the shit he had written down, go out on stage and wing it. He forgot all his material the moment he would get on stage. So that's when they started saying, you know, he had to, like, they changed the documentary into, okay, Rob's gonna donate his brain to science and he's trying to figure out if he's got CTE or not. Excuse me. So, for me, knowing the decline that Rob seems to be having mentally and shit, and knowing that he's always been kind of like me, where he just says sort of shit unfiltered, you know? He says what comes to his mind, you know what I'm saying? And so he has a L take, probably, he might know Rampage, they might have interacted, you know, so he might be a little bit partial. So, I didn't see the original take or none of that. So I'm just going off what I heard on his last live, the little bit of it that I watched, and knowing what I know about Rob, you know what I'm saying? And seeing the way his audience is turning on him over this one L take. It's not right. You know, that's a man, you gotta understand. He literally destroyed his fucking brain to make y'all happy. Now because he says something that y'all don't agree with, that he was wrong. Just call a spade a spade. He was wrong. Doesn't change anything other than, listen, he said some shit. He was fast and loose saying some shit, and he was wrong. And what he said was wrong. But the bottom line is, so just to finish that up, that's the one thing that I guess kind of hurt me specifically out of this, is seeing the way, especially Rob Van Dam, how he been affected. I don't like that. For someone who's done what he did, going through what he's going through, who you know is, at this point, it wasn't always like this, but at this point, he's kind of not playing with a full deck, and I think he admits that himself. And I mean that with no disrespect to Rob if he sees this. I mean that with nothing but the utmost respect and concern, because I understand how hard it can be with the type of concussion, long-term concussion effects that I live from, that I suffer from, that I live with. You know what I'm saying? So, for me, it fucked me up for a multitude of reasons, you know? Because I know with me, I say some shit off the cuff. I got some brain damage. I don't know what that shit's gonna do to me. And I feel bad. I wish I could make that. I wish I could just. It's like what my fucking doctor said in court when he was testifying for me. He's like, I wish I could put him in a bubble just like this, and everything he needed or wanted to come in the bubble could go there. But anything he didn't, that he was going to try to react violently to, would not even see the bubble. You know, because you leave him on an island by himself without any, you know, it's like having gasoline. You leave him on an island by himself, and only what he wants is allowed on and off that island, he's fine. The moment that you add anything he doesn't want there, it's like you just put a match on that gasoline. And that's a little bit different than what I'm saying here, but it's like, I wish I could put Rob in a bubble, and I ain't gonna say put Rob in a bubble, that doesn't apply here. I wish I could sort of just undo the people unsubbing to him and shit. I wish I could stop that. I wish I could just be like, okay, Rob, you didn't mean to do this, and just like invisibly just go back and undo the whole fallout that he's had from this. I'm a little bit choked up, so I had to get my thoughts together for that. My fault, I'm rambling. But, so the bottom line is that Raja probably gonna go to jail. And this coming from a guy who said OJ ain't kill nobody. He ain't even finna answer. You know what I'm saying? I also said, what's the other hot? Oh yeah, Mike Vick was cool. Mike Vick did nothing wrong. That's just a part of our culture. It's where we come from. You know, this also coming from a person who said, I think there was more to the, not Kobe Bryant. What the fuck is his name? The other guy, Denver Nuggets. The Carmelo Anthony thing, you know, not the one who's on there. You know what I'm talking about. This is coming from a guy who said, I think there was more to the Carmelo Anthony thing. I think that white boy had road rage. I think he had roid rage. That white boy was definitely on roids. From a guy who said Obama is the savior. Okay? Raja was wrong. Hot take, Raja was fucking completely wrong for what he did. But I understand why it happened. I understand why he did it. I'm not excusing that. Because like I said, watching that, it was like watching a younger version of me, but if I was autistic. It was literally like watching the way my temper would go off if I was autistic. So, this is a very tragic situation. Again, I give my condolences. I want to send my condolences to Psycho Stu and his family. I wish him a fast, speedy recovery. And I'm excited to see his recovery. And I'm excited to see his redemption arc and all that. You know, so my condolences to him. I hope he gets well soon. That should never happen. And my apologies. I apologize for Raja doing that. Okay? I want to give my condolences as well to Rampage, because as a father, I know what it's going. Like, I don't know what he's going through. I can't imagine what he's going through. And I understand that if it was my son, I would be stressing. And I know my pops, when it was his son, was stressing. It's a very unfortunate situation. Raja, you're going to have to do some time for that. Now, I heard people in the UK who have no idea how our fucking laws work being like, it's attempted murder, 30, 40 years. First off, attempted murder is a 10 to 15. He's probably going to do like 12 years, maybe 8. He might come off and do 8. You know what I'm saying? They might say it's ag assault. They might say it's ag assault, or they might say ag assault. They might say assault 2 because he caused injury. If it's assault 2, it's going to be like an 8. He can't get assault 1. He didn't use a weapon, unless that shit about being a black belt or whatever is true, which listen, I from my experience, that's not true. That whole shit about, oh, you're a black belt, you beat someone up, it's assault with a deadly weapon, the shit never happened to me. So, but it'll probably be a ag assault or assault 2, or it might be attempt murder. When I caught my attempt murder charge, I didn't use no type of fucking weapon. So, it might be that. In which case, it'll be like a 10 to 15, probably a flat 10. And, you know, but Raja, you're going to have to go to jail for that, bro. I'm sorry. And there ain't going to be no assault 3rd. And he can't consent to what happened. A lot of people will be like, oh, but it was wrestling, they agreed to this. No, he ain't agreed to that, and he can't. As far as the state goes, they're probably going to say he can't agree to have several parts of his orbital broken, his face broken, swallow some teeth, flatline, like he literally had a heart attack because of that shit in the ring. So, yeah, it's a terrible situation. As you can tell, it chokes me up talking about it. And I'm not going to be able to cut this up because the video too long now. But I know y'all enjoy my take on this. So, again, my condolences to Psycho Stu and my condolences to Rampage. I would say my condolences to, Raja, just because I empathize and was like looking at a younger version of myself. But what he did was wrong. I can't condone that. I can't give no condolences to him, period. It fucked me up because I was that kid once. So again, I hope Psycho Stu feel better. I wish him a speedy recovery. And I hope he get back in the ring soon, but not too soon. You gotta let that shit heal up, Stu. I want to see you looking like Rob Van Dam mentally. And Rob, like I said, if you see this, you can tell I'm getting choked up. That's because of the respect I have for you. It's nothing but respect. But the way that your mental state is, and especially the way people are weaponizing that against you, I don't like seeing that. And to all the fucking trolls on Rob's channel that be doing that, y'all fucking going to hell. I'm out of here, bitch.